Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Paige, this is Seeking Alexandria, and guys, I wanted to bring you today's video strictly because I have gotten so many requests for it and I just think it would be really helpful. So today I'm going to be diving into my brow routine lately, and I feel like I finally have this narrowed down to a system, narrowed down to a really nice technique that I love, not only on my brows because they are really sparse. As you guys can tell, I don't have a ton of brow hair, but I also really like the nice natural feel that they have to them. They're not really sharp or overly defined. They are just a perfect balance, in my opinion, of their brow, but also a more natural but still defined brow. It really walks that line, and it's a pretty quick tutorial. It'll probably be a pretty quick video, but I just wanted to dive into it with you guys and go through what I'm going to be using and maybe a couple of dupes that you guys could test out. Maybe you are new to the powder brow, you're not sure if you really want to dive in. Now that brings us to our very first point when it comes to these brows, honey. We are working primarily with powder. Now, for those of you that are not familiar, there are several different ways that you can choose to fill in your brow. You can use just a gel, you can use a pomade, you can use a pencil, you can use more of like a waxy crayon hybrid pencil mix, or you can use, again, what I am talking about, which is powder. And for me, I have tried all of those, and I feel like if you really love that more structured, intense, bold look, pomade is 100% your jam. Go that route, love it, live it, do your thing. For me, pomade is just, it's too much. It looks kind of out of place on my face. I did go through a pomade phase a year and a half or so ago. I also went through a really large eyebrow phase, and then I went through a thin eyebrow phase. Like, guys, let me just tell you, I've been through every single brow phase you can go through, and I personally feel like right now my brows have never looked better. So I'm pretty excited just to zoom you guys in. We're gonna go through it and just dive into what I like. So let's go ahead and get started actually with a couple of dupes, a couple things that I have really been loving and testing out behind the scenes as well as on camera. So the products I'm gonna be using in today's video are the Urban Decay Double Down Brow, which this is their brow powder set right here. This is in Neutral Nana. They recently released this, well, probably wasn't recent now, it's been like 6 months, 5 or 6 months ago, but they came out with this entire new brow line, and I really love their brow line. The whole thing was really great, but once I got into the powder side of it, I fell in love with this powder. Again, this is in Neutral Nana, and I primarily go in with the lighter shade right here, and then over top of that, I'll be taking the ABH Dip Brow Gel in Deep Brown. These two together look so beautiful, but I don't want you to think that you have to have an expensive item or two expensive items to create this look. So I have several other dupes or things that I've also been loving. So let's go ahead and talk about, I think I'll do powders first. So my only other high-end brow powder that I really love, this is from IT Cosmetics. It is their Brow Power Powder in Universal Taupe. I've used this so much. Even back when I went through my first brow powder phase, I would say a year and a half, 2 years ago, I used the absolute bejesus out of this. I love it so much. And for as much as I use this, there's only a little bit missing out of this container, so it will last you so long, and it's just a great powder. Now, to go to the more affordable side, I actually have quite a few things that I really like. The first one I want to mention is one I cannot find, which for the life of me, I just searched for it for the last 20 minutes. I've talked about it several times on this channel, and it is the one from my $1 makeup, my Shop Miss A video, which I will link up here. It's a $1 brow powder duo, and it actually looks very similar to this Urban Decay one right here. Both of the powders are very nice. They're very lightweight. They go on, they look super rich in pigment, and they blend out like a dream. And for $1, I think it is a great place to get started. So of course I will link that video like I said, and all of these products will be listed down below as well. But I really love that for a $1 option, but you do have to buy it online. So something to consider. Now, another option that I just found recently here, this is from Makeup Revolution, and this is their Ultra Brow Kit. And I believe this is in the light to dark, yeah, medium to dark shade range right here. And what I love about this one is actually that it comes with 4 different shades of brow powder right here. You do get 2 waxes. I typically don't use a wax, as you've heard me talk several times now. I go in primarily with gel or things that feather through your brows a little bit easier. So these are not my particular favorite, but I love that this is a complete kit that comes with lots of options. Another one that I used recently in a full face of Walmart video, which I will link up here, this is from Profusion, and this is their Brows II Kit. Now this one has a lot less. I believe it's $5 or $6, and I don't really love the wax right here. I did try it. It's really chunky. I don't love that. The Brow Light, which again is a ridiculously light shade, it will only work for you if you have fair skin, but as far as the powder itself, it's actually a really nice rich in pigment shade. And then these two powders are very nice as well. They give you Java and Espresso, 2 different undertones, which I like, and it's very affordable. And then you do end up with, again, a couple other items in here, which I just scattered about. I think there was a pencil, which I didn't like, a tweezer, and something else. For me, it wasn't so much about those. It was about trying to find find a brow powder that wasn't in like the $20 range. And when we get into brow gels, like I said, I will be using today the ABH brow gel, but there are several other options that I love. I've pulled 4 more right here. The other one that is high end that I do really like is the Benefit Gimme Brow. This is in shade 5. I really, really love their Gimme Brow. It's a really light, airy feel to the eyebrow. It doesn't make them feel heavy or cakey. They don't clump together. This is a beautiful, thin, natural brow gel that I really like. And these other 3 are from the drugstore. This one is from e.l.f. I recently used this one. You guys will have seen this yesterday, actually. This is from a full face of e.l.f., which I will link up here. And this is their Wow Brow. And this is so, so good. It gives you beautiful, defined lashes. It's only a couple of dollars, and it really stays put. And then this guy right here is the L'Oreal Brow Stylist Boost and Set Volumizing Brow Mascara. And this is in dark brunette. This is also really nice. And actually what I like about this L'Oreal one is the wand, and I'm not sure how well you can see it, but it has this little crooked bend to it, and the spoolie is so little and so petite that when you're working it through your brows, if you're like me and you have very sparse brows, this is so easy to control. You don't deposit too much product. It just goes in so effortlessly, and because it's so tiny, you can really get in and define these last couple tail brow hairs that you have right here. Like, girl, my hair back here is so sparse. I have like 4 little hairs, and it can be really difficult to get them coated with a big old cumbersome brush, and this is so nice and so petite, so I really do like this. And then this is the last guy right here. This one I think I've actually used pretty much the entire tube. This is from Ulta Beauty. This is their brow tint in medium. It is their in-house brand, and I really like this. Yeah, it looks to be pretty dry. This is a great option. I've used it a ton, and I feel like with this one, it reminds me a lot of the Gimme Brow from Benefit. It has a really nice thin feel to the brow, but it feathers through really nicely, very evenly, coats the brows, and looks really stunning. So there's a lot of options, as you can tell, if you're new to the powder brow game and you don't want to like dive in full force and get crazy with spending a ton of money. You just want to test it out. There are so many things. And that brings me to my last point that I wanted to mention, which is the brush. So I use this brush right here. As you can tell, it is nice and dirty. This is my Morphe and Jeffree Star brush at JS7. What I really like about this brush, the first thing I'm going to tell you, I'm dead ass honest, y'all, my beauty studio right now, it is a absolute sty. You couldn't find anything. If you drop something, girl, it's gone. I don't care what it is. And that being said, I have a lot easier time keeping track of this brush because it is so hot pink and so faceted. It kind of sticks out amongst everything else, which I really like. Obviously, you don't have to have this brush, just something with a nice angle tip on one side that'll really let you work the product through, and then a spoolie on the other. Okay guys, so we're good. We're zoomed in. Look at my eye leaking. Hello, no thank you. But I'm ready to go ahead and show you guys the run through of this. I promise it is super simple. Truth be told, there's probably more talking at the beginning and at the end of this video than there will be at any other point, but I really feel like getting all that out of the way is very important. So let's go ahead and dive in. Now this is the brush up close. You can see right here, this is the angle, nice and dirty, don't judge me. And then this is the other end, the spoolie end, which we're gonna start off first and go through the brows with just a really light spoolie. I like to just brush them in the upward direction. And what this does, first of all, is it gives you a better shot at seeing your roots, because I always start at the base of my brow right here and go in first with a nice dark line of powder right there. So feathering these up just really helps you make sure you're hitting the right spot. And then if there's ever been anything else throughout your makeup routine that settled into your brows, whether it's a powder or any sort of like a goopy consistency, we want to get that out because we want our brows to be able to be nice and light and feathery. So we just go through here, I brush them up, and we're good to go. Now, because I don't have a ton of brow hair, it doesn't look any different, but it is a very important part of the process. Now, we are gonna dive into the Urban Decay Double Down Neutral Nana again, and this shade right here is the lighter side, and I'm gonna take this same brush here and start going in with this shade. Now, I like to pick up a decent amount of product, and what we're gonna do is start feathering it in from the bottom side of the brow. So I kind of just take and do a little bit of this. Now, when it comes to this brow technique, because like I told you guys, I like it to look a little bit more chill, a little bit more natural. I don't typically go in and really just like arch a line in there and get it really intense. I prefer to work in like lighter stroke motions, just because I do feel like it helps kind of pull home that nice natural effect. And I don't really love so much anymore the like that dark harsh line. It just isn't my thing. If it's your thing, that's totally fine. But for me, I just feel like these brows have really been working for me lately. They've been fitting my face nicely. And one other thing I wanted to mention too, if you have sparse brows, yet again like I do, and you don't have a super defined arch, or you just don't have a super defined really much of anything, it is really important, and I have found it super, super helpful to go through before you do your brows, or to keep up relative maintenance on your arch hair right here. When I don't go in and maintain it and keep that arch nice and crisp, I have a lot harder time, so it ends up taking me longer to go in. I have to go in with more concealer. I have to really go in and keep carving it out. And guys, I'm just not all about taking more time when I could just take less time. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of tip from me to you. And then I like to kind of take this up to where my natural hair stops, up on this side of the brow, up on the top side right there. And I think another key portion of this brow tutorial for me is actually doing less. Now, this is something I have struggled with if you've been here for a minute. I have a hard time a lot of times, you know, really restraining myself and saying, no, Paige, you don't need to keep putting product here or there. So for me, a lot of it involves going in, doing the other brow, and then coming back to this one a little bit later. So I like where we're at. I like the shape. We're just going to brush it through one more time. And this just helps not only get out any clumps that you have, but it also helps go in and give it that nice, natural, soft look. It doesn't look overly structured or overly defined. It just looks nice and soft. Now in the front right here, I go ahead, I scoop up a little bit more product, bam, and we're going to take that product and tap off here, and then we're going to go in the upward direction right here just a couple of times. Now I don't do this a lot. I do it nice and light. I kind of fill in the base a little bit and just do a little bit of that. Now, as you can tell, it barely added anything to this area, but for me, the bulk of my brow hair is up in this region. So when I go in with the gel, it'll help make that whole area look nice and light and feathered, which is so, so key, and it's so pretty, and it looks perfect with this brow look. So I like to go in, I just lightly add that, and then we spoolie just a little bit here. Y'all know I love a good spoolie. Y'all also know my eyes leaking, yes. Now we're gonna go ahead, do the other side the exact same way, see how it turns out, see what kind of arch we get. And then we're just gonna go in on this other side over here and even up the two sides just a little bit. I do find that my other side is a little bit thicker than this side naturally, so I like to go kind of like a nice in between the two sides. A nice in between the two sides. Oy vey. Okay, so now we are here and my brows are not perfect. I actually went ahead and I kind of over buffed the edge of this one right here. Excuse me, sir, stay in focus. I did go ahead and over buff the edge of this one just a freckle because I want to show you guys another technique just in case you're like me and you make mistakes all the time. I like to have a nice soft approach, a way to go in and kind of reshape that outer arch right there without going in with a liquid powder, because as you can tell, my entire face is all set. And this is just something that I found works really well for me. I'm going to go in with my Charlotte Tilbury. This is their airbrushed Flawless Finish powder in shade 1 Fair. As you can tell, I've used this quite a bit, and I'm going to go in here. This is with the Alamar brush. I don't know which one it is, but it's just their flat liner brush. Any brush like this will do, and any foundation powder or just colored powder in general will do for this next step. And basically we're going to go in and clean up the outside just like we will go in and clean up the underside, but with a powder. That way it's not overly harsh. We're still going to have a nice soft edge to the look, but we're still going to get a little bit more definition and kind of shave it in just a freckle and help soften that color. So I'm just going to take this, go in here, and just drag it down. Now this isn't something honestly that I would do a lot of days. I'm doing it mainly just to show you guys it's another technique you can put in your arsenal. But if you are in a hurry, you just want to let it go, that's fine too. It's all up to you. It's all up to what shape you feel like rocking. But as you can tell, this just really does go in and helps clean it up a little bit. Well guys, that didn't take long. I don't know where I put my ABH Dip Brow Gel, but it is nowhere in front of me. So I'm going to be going in instead with my L'Oreal brow gel here. This is that Boost and Set in Dark Brunette that I was just talking to you guys about. And we're going to take this, and you're going to get to see this one in action. I apologize. I don't know where it went. Like, I just had it in my hand, and I've now looked for 10 minutes and I can't find it. No idea. So this is the best part in my opinion. This is the part that will really bring your brows to life. So it doesn't matter what gel we have, honey, because it's about to look so good. So take this, and now if you're working with the ABH Dip Brow Gel, I would recommend wiping that off because it can get quite a bit of product on there, and all you do is just kind of scrape it on the container. Now this one doesn't have that problem so much because the spoolie is so much smaller. You do get just a nice amount of product right from the gate. So what I like to do is I start with this one in the front of my brow right here, and I just very lightly drag up, because for me this entire brow is really predicated on the fact that I will have a good defined front right there, and you can see all of those brows just start to come to life. And then I like to take it Always lifting in an upward motion, especially for this first part right here, and pulling it all the way back through the brows. And really, like I said before, coating those rear brows, because those do matter. They really help pull the entire look together. And it's really quite simple, as you can see. You just kind of run them through. Now, a lot of people would have different opinions on this. They would say, oh, you know, you need to fold them down, you need to do this. I personally like leaving my brows more in the up position, because if they fall at all, at least they fall into a more natural position that still matches my arch. Whereas if I make them match my arch, if they fall, they're going to fall down here where I don't want them to fall. So I will leave that side alone, and then I go in and do the other side super, super quick. Exact same way, just starting at the base and working all the way through the brows. Now, once this side dries, if you feel like you want to, you can go back through and add another coat if there's areas maybe that are a little bit on the sparse side, or just something that you'd like to work through. I oftentimes will do this just to grab any areas that don't have a ton of product, because if you only got 10 hairs, girl, you need each hair to be its best in place and coated. Now for this next step, I zoomed you guys out for one reason, and for one reason only. We need to gain some perspective on our brows. This is something that I force myself to do every single day that I do my brows. I make myself, not zoom out of the camera obviously, because I'm not always on camera, but I make myself put the mirror down, I step away for a second, I do something else, I look at something else, and then I come back to my brows a couple minutes later. Because here's the thing you have to remember with brows, they are touchy, honey. If you go in and you're like, oh, I just want to fix like this one little thing, that one little thing could be a big situation. It could be something that screws your brows up. It could be something that was never worth your time, that makes you frustrated, that makes you hate this process overall. So the one thing, if I could give you one huge piece of advice, it would be to just gain some perspective. They are just brows. They are sisters, not twins, as we've heard 1,000 times. And honey, there are days that my brows, do you think they look like sisters? No, they look like distant cousins once removed, and I could care less, because the reality is, for me to go in and try to fix them would cause me way more pain and suffering than anything else I could do. So I like to just gain some perspective. Something I wanted to mention to you guys, I love this brow. I think they both look pretty good. Now they are a little bit uneven as far as the underside of them goes. I'm gonna go in here in just a second and clean them up with a little concealer. What we're gonna do is we're gonna grab a tiny little brush here, and this is the smoothing concealer brush from It Cosmetics. Any flat paddle brush will do, and then any concealer, foundation, whatever you have laying around. I will go ahead and use the Tarte Cosmetics in Porcelain Beige, their Shape Tape, and this will take a very little amount of product, so I just like to throw a little bit on the back of my hand right there, and then take this brush, and you guys have seen this done 1,000 times, but just running this up on the underside of the brow and making both sides kind of come together, match them up. Now, this process for me is more about making the brow look completed by itself and less about making it match the other brow. I like my brows to look good individually and then good together. Kind of like a good relationship. You know, you got to do you before you can get with someone else and like make that relationship work. Honey, you got to do you. So I like to treat them as individuals, give them their own personality, give them their own flavor. I'm using a very, very small amount of product. You're not going to want to go in and really gob it on, because if you put too much, you will end up erasing either your eyeshadow or your brows or whatever. So just go in with the tiniest amount and really work that through your brows as much as possible. Now, if you're like me, remember how I addressed earlier this little bald spot right through here that I get in my brows because it's basically sticking to skin? There's a couple different options. You can go in with a setting spray and kind of spray your face and then go in with some brow powder and have it stick directly to that. Myself personally, what I'll end up doing if I have a hard time with this color getting to stick, I'll actually dive into this deeper color with the same brush, and what ends up happening is it ends up shearing itself out, because as you can see, nothing is sticking right there. So I'll end up just kind of going in with that deeper shade and kind of stamping it in that little area. Okay, you guys, this is the end of the video. This is how everything turned out. Now, of course, everything else on my face I will have listed down below as well for you guys. Doing my brows like this has literally shaved years off my life, let me tell you. Now, for this video, which by the way ended up being a little bit longer than I meant for it to, sorry about that, but I wanted to give you pieces as I went along instead of going the voiceover route, so I'm sorry it got a little bit long, but I wanted to make this video for you because I have had a ton of requests for it, and I really hope it was helpful. You guys can let me know down below, is this something that you wanted to see? Is it something that you did find useful? Like I said, I tried to incorporate everything I thought would be helpful, especially if you have sparse brows like me, if you're wanting drugstore, high-end, you know, my favorites, so on and so forth. So leave me your thoughts down below. I definitely think this is worth checking out, especially if you are really gearing more toward a softer brow, something that's that's a little bit easier. On average, for those of you that are curious, once you get this brow routine down, it takes me maybe 10 minutes to do both brows. Now on camera, today I had a couple issues, with lighting, and by the way, when I was up close, was I painfully textured looking to you guys? Because when I saw myself up close, I was like, girl, you can see every pore, which is crazy. Like, I had to turn the, side note, by the way, you can skip across this, but I had to turn all of these lights down so you could actually see the powder and like see how it was going on and stuff. But in turning the lights down, it actually made a lot of my texture and my skin look really bad. So sorry about that. In real life, for the record, it looks kind of great. So just so we all know, just so we're all on the same level of fabulous. But you guys, let me know your thoughts again down below. Was this helpful? Is this something you like, something you'd want to take a look at? I want to hear from you down below. And also don't forget, while you're down there, check me out on Instagram and on Twitter. All of my info is linked down in the description box. All you have to do is click the hyperlink and then click follow. So it's super easy. I'm on Instagram all the time. That's where I do check-ins. I talk about skincare. I talk about everything over there. So definitely check that out if you like to keep up with me in my day-to-day life. And if you haven't done so yet, you could also subscribe and turn on your post notifications here for the wonderful world of YouTube, y'all, because I upload 5 videos a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They go up bright and early between 6 and 7 a.m. my time here in Northern Michigan. Thank you all so much for watching. Please do not forget to have a great day, night, weekend, whatever it is when you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Look at my brow, look at my brow, look at my brow. Don't mind me, just looking fab, looking fly, looking like I own the sky. Wow, the things I say. Okay, I'm sorry. You just interrupted my solo. You guys hear this? The lawnmower that's out front. At least there's no snow this time. The last time I heard a lawnmower, like 2 times ago, there was literally still snow on the ground, and I was like, why are you here? But you know what? It's fine. Don't worry about it. People just really like to mow their snow in Northern Michigan. The things I do to entertain myself. Wow. Oh my God. Oh, full extension of the leg. Oh yeah. That was enough stretching for the year. Okay.